Welcome back to 52 Moments, where I answer things like,
What is wrong with you?
or,
How have you become so awesome?
or even,
Why are you so weird?
as best I can. Along the way, I hope you'll learn more about me. So let's get to it. Hey, and welcome back. Today's episode is called Gym Class Nearly Killed Me, which is a hyperbole, but suffice to say, gym class was never fun for me. When I was young, there was always things that I had to do that I didn't enjoy doing, and there was no whisper of accommodation in those days. You just sucked it up and did it, or you get yelled at, or you failed. So in elementary school, we had the Canada Fitness Assessment garbage. There were physical fitness awards. Y'all probably saw these if you're old enough. The program ran into the 90s. So little badges that you could win. Most years I got the participation pin, which was thanks for trying. One year I actually managed to get bronze, and I still have that patch somewhere. Um, Overall, it was just a horrifying set of tests that we had to go through, like kiddie boot camp. There was the dreaded flexed arm hang. There was a 50-meter dash and an endurance run and speed sit-ups, also not a fan, and a standing long jump. I think that was it. There might have been more. Anyway, um, you were timed and or counted and or whatever, and it was just like one big adventure in anxiety. I hated it. It didn't get much better in junior high when we had to run laps or play team sports where I lacked the coordination to actually get a basketball into a basket, which meant that the jocks in the class hated me that much more because if they got stuck with me on their team, they would lose, or, they thought they would lose. But anyway, by the time I got to grade 10, I finally had an instructor who graded me based on my participation and effort rather than my results because I wasn't all that coordinated. Now, outside of school, because of gym class, I kind of felt like I couldn't do sports. Now, I did play soccer as a kid. I played for Prospect Lake Club. We were the first girls' team, to the point where my dad actually decided that he would be a ref. Like he trained to, or not a ref, but a coach. He trained to be a coach. And he later did train to be a ref as well, just to make sure that we had a coach. And that's kind of cool. Um, I never did anything else outside of school. I sucked at roller skating and skateboarding. I could ride a bike, but not like competitively or anything. And I swam, but again, I stopped taking swimming lessons when kids who were like 3 or 4 or 5 years younger than me were passing the levels and I wasn't. And that was largely to do with the fact that I really don't like diving. I can jump into the water, but I do not like climbing up on a diving board and jumping in. I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of falling. All of that works together to make that kind of thing very uncomfortable. So grade 10. The miraculous thing about the timing of that grade and getting I think I got a B plus for that term. And that was at the same time that I was trying to sign up for my high school classes, grade 11 classes. At that point in the BC curriculum, phys ed became voluntary after grade 10. It was mandatory up to grade 10, and then you could decide whether you wanted to take it. I am so happy that I decided to take PE in both grade 11 and 12 because our school had these classes called individual and dual sports and lifetime sports. And both of them were like a combo of things that grown-ups do for fun. Golfing, tennis, bowling, um, all that kind of stuff that is just sort of the physical activity that you think of adults taking part in, rather than all of these horrible pickup team sports that, don't appeal to me. That said, I did play volleyball in university and as a pickup sport. I also did racquetball in university. Um, and I was so glad anyway in high school to have those because I did primarily focus on academics, but those classes gave me something to do. So the reason I'm talking about this today is that I just finished my first ever timed 5K race. Now, it was walking, but it was still timed. And I trained for it. I've been walking, at least 2.5 kilometers at least once a week just to sort of get my endurance up a little bit. And I went with a friend and I did a perfectly reasonable time. I've also done things like canoeing and abseiling or rappelling when I was in England. This is me going down a mountain. Not really a mountain, but a sheer cliffside. And that looked terrifying from below. It wasn't as bad. It didn't look as steep from up top. So I actually did it twice. And even with my fear of heights and fear of falling, I trusted the rigging that was set up by the professionals. And I was also trying to set a good example for the kids because that's when I was working in the private school. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I walk a lot. I'm not sedentary by any stretch, but I'm not an athlete either. So I'm somewhere in the middle. But a lot of my anxieties around sports and performance and even getting into things like dancing. I didn't think I could dance. I didn't think I could perform on stage for, an audience and that people would say, "You move so gracefully," which seemed like nonsense to me years ago. I spent a lot of time being belittled about my abilities and mocked for not running fast enough. This body was never built for running. It just wasn't, even before I hit puberty. And these got in the way. But once those happened, there was no way I was going to run. Like, it just got too uncomfortable. I don't care what kind of bra you miraculously wrap them in. Um, so yeah, sports and me don't have a great relationship, but that's mainly because I don't like team sports. I don't like where where I have expectations of needing to be at the same level as everyone else on the team, because I'm just usually not. But if I can go my own way and do my own thing, I'm pretty happy about it. So that's where my activity comes in now. But gym class, if it had gone on for any longer, being as miserable as it is, I don't know that I would have ever gone forward. Like, if I hadn't got that B at that time, I probably would have stopped right there and not done the senior high school stuff, not done the drop-in stuff in university. Like, there's a lot of stuff that almost didn't happen because gym class was so unforgiving. I really hope that schools now have a better understanding of that. But anyway, that's another thing about me, and I hope you come back again next time to learn more. Bye.